That's an excellent question because we do have a certain level of self-control, and some people more than others, and other people have strong self-control in one area and pathetic in another area. I think self-control is a virtue to an extent, but
Just as people can have joy and peace and
yeah,
patience outside
yeah,
with, I think this is where it's the step beyond what we can actually do.
it is a step beyond, and it's in areas that we don't think we need self-control. For example, I remember years ago when I was dating the woman who's now my wife. Her father had a speedboat. We're out there, just her and I, blasting across this water up in northern Lake Huron, along between islands. And I always think of this when I think about self-control. I was controlling that boat, but I could have just had my hands off. I could easily take my hands off and let the boat go where it wishes, and we would just have piled into rocks at a tremendous speed in probably fairly soon. But it's like this: you are the speedboat, and you can either pilot your way through the rocks that are out there, and a lot of them were right under the water. One time I was blasting across, and all of a sudden I saw massive boulders the size of cars very close underneath the boat flashing by me, and I just hauled back on that throttle and stopped. Well, there's a lot of unseen boulders in this life, and there's a lot of things we're not aware of. And we don't even know how to pilot the boat, so to speak. And we think we do, of course. Anybody can make it through life. A fungus makes it through life. So anybody can make it through life, but how well do you make it through? That's where there's another whole higher level of self-control that I need God for. And it's specifically in the areas of my Achilles heels, the areas where I might be weak. And I suspect that every person has an Achilles heel. So one person might be gambling, another person might be overeating, another person might be porn. There's just an endless variety of things that just suck us right in. Stamp collecting. I know people who that it consumes their whole life. I knew a man who could not stop buying stamps. He had no discretionary money, not enough, and he was spending thousands on worthless stamp. By worthless, I mean straight from the post office and no collector's value, but he'd buy sheets of these. So there are areas we have an Achilles heel. That's where we need self-control that goes beyond what we're able to do, because it is a weak area. And that's where it's a weak area because we just seem to be powerless in that area.
Now, Maraxatech thinks that he has enough self-control. It's not limited to him. So,
yeah, everybody thinks about that until if they live a pretty sheltered life. And I don't mean to imply that Maraxatech lives in a convent or something, but the more you get involved in a variety of things in life. And that's part of my problem, is that I'm interested in everything. Sooner or later, you're going to walk into an area that you had no idea that this was like this, and it can have such a hold on you. The other thing is that for the normal person, self-control, let's say you're not a follower of Christ, most of us can just manage quite fine in life without self-control. I mean, without this supernatural self-control, because we're not going to become alcoholics or addicted to gambling or addicted to porn online or whatever. The other thing is, you might think I know a lot of guys who think they're in control, but they're not. And you can tell how much they're not by how many hours they spend and how badly their courses are doing in university or whatever. So yeah, I think you can make it through life if you're not interested in living a supernatural life with just normal human self-control. But it's when you start living a supernatural life and God expects you to become more godlike throughout life, and he literally meant that. He says, be imitators of me. That's a whole lifelong process. There are big things that need to happen and supernatural things that need to happen. That's when the supernatural self-control needs to cut in, and we just can't make that up.